Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jason. Thanks for coming back and joining me again. If you watched the previous video, I worked on shortening up the rear drive shaft for my 1986 Chevy Crew Cab truck. Tonight's project, I want to finish up that rear drive shaft. I needed one more U-joint. I picked one up on my way home today. So I'm going to get that put into the very rear of the drive shaft. Hopefully this one goes smoother than the previous one. I'm going to show you the process. Hopefully it's not as much of a struggle fest as it was last time. And then we'll get this last piece put up into the back of the truck. We'll be one step closer to having this thing ready to hit the road again. And I mean, cross your fingers that it goes a little bit more smoothly for me. The last one really fought me. It took quite a bit of finagling to get it out of there. But I'm confident this one's going to go a little bit better. So let me get you set up where you have a good vantage point. You can see everything I'm doing, and we'll get right into this. All right, everybody, we're set up here on the workbench. I've got the U-joint here that I need to replace. This one's missing one of the caps on the end, so we need to get that off. And I have a new joint right here in the box. It comes with nice new clips, new grease fitting. Just like so, right? 1350 series U-joint. This was a C30 1-ton truck. So here's what we got to do. We got to get the little external snap rings out first. See if we get lucky and they pop out for us tonight. There we go. We're already off to a better start, right? Try not to fling this one to who knows where across the garage. Get our other side off. Oh, this one's got two different snap rings on it. I wonder if somebody lost one or if somebody reused one. Or maybe that's the same thing for whoever worked on this last. There we go. Whoops, broke it. One little piece left in there. There we go, got that one. So, something that I didn't do the other night, it helps sometimes to get your little wire brush around the end of these caps. Try to remove any of the rust, any of the debris and stuff that builds up in there. Sometimes it doesn't make a difference, but as tight as the one was the previous night, I really want to do everything I can to try to make this one come out a little bit easier. That was really a pain and a fight to get that one apart. There we go. So we've got our press just like we had the other day. I'm going to get it lined up as best we can right on the cap. Want to try to peek through my end here, make sure I'm not pressing, just trying to squeeze the U-joint in on itself. Got my joint nice and straight. Let's see if this one comes. And that thing was tight. Look at that. Off to a way better start than the other night. There we go. We got our joint lined up. Man, let's see if it goes just as easy the opposite direction. Wouldn't that be nice? Get our end all lined up here. There we go. Get this one pushed in. You got to put the impact wrench on forward, Jason. Pro tip, put the impact on forward when you're trying to tighten. So we'll just get reset again. There we go. Looks like we're pretty well lined up. Now we're on tighten. That's how it's supposed to go. Push one cap off, push the other cap off, get your cross out in the center. It's about time something in this project went right for me. So now, we have to put our new joint in. Make sure you pay attention to where your grease fitting goes. If you point your grease fitting towards the differential, it's going to be almost impossible for you to actually get the grease gun onto it. You want to make sure you point your grease fitting out and towards the yoke that has a little bit more ear on it. Slide one cap off. Slide your other cap off. And then you can poke through. You want to try to not get too much of the grease, grime, dirt, whatever is left on that yoke all over your U-joint. And then in this case, I'm going to sit it right there. Again, trying to keep that yoke clean. Now I'm going to use my press to push that cap back into the yoke. So we're going to spin it around. We're going to get lined up again. Give it a little tighten. It's not as important this time that it be lined up perfectly. All we really need to do is get that cap seated down into the yoke so we can get the snap ring on. There we go. Set that aside. Make sure we're in far enough. We should be. We are. So then you take your nice new snap rings. You want to put one in on this side first because you don't want to push that cap back out too far. Get your dust out of the way. Use your nice pliers. There you go. Get your snap ring down in there. Then you can flip your shaft over. Get your other cap started. And make sure you're getting these lined up as best you can. This one doesn't want to go. There we go. We're going to take our press, line it up one more time. Get a little pressure on it. Set our impact to tighten. There we go. I think we should be able to get our snap ring in. Go. Get the dust out. Oops. There you go. Check your snap ring. Make sure your edges are all the way out. Make sure your U-joint moves freely. You don't want the caps squished in on it and making it tight. This one moves nice and smooth, very free. Next thing I'm going to do, get my grease zerk out of here. There we go. And then we'll get underneath the truck. Remember, this shaft has a blind spline, so it will only go onto the forward part of the drive shaft in one position. That'll also ensure that all of our U-joint yokes are lined up the way they're supposed to be in time. We'll get it slid up onto the shaft and onto the slip yoke, the slip spline, and then we'll get the rear joint bolted into the differential yoke. And man, this portion will finally be to the point that I can drive this thing out of the garage again. All right, guys, so we're back under the truck. We're going to get the slip yoke put on the other end first, and then we're going to get the caps off of this pinion yoke here, get the U-joint put in place, and then get the caps tightened back down. And this drive shaft will be installed. We'll be one step closer to that first drive since I took this thing apart, really. So here we go. Slid up into place. I'm going to remove my joint cap bolts. These are 7/16. There we go. Get those out of the way. We'll get our shaft into place. Oh no! That's what we don't want to do, is knock our U-joint caps all over the floor. And this one is tight. Wow, let me make sure I got the yoke slid all the way in. Slip yoke. Yeah, the slip yoke is all the way in. Man, not a lot of space back here. Let's try a different angle. There we go. Cool. Alright, so I'm going to put just a dab of anti-seize on each of these bolts so they don't seize tight into that yoke for the next time I need to get in here. All right, there we go, guys and girls. Straps are tight. Axle shaft is in. Or drive shaft is in, rather. The only other thing we have to do is put the dust cover back on the slip yoke end and get a little bit of grease pumped into this U-joint and the front U-joint to make sure that they are lubricated and ready for action. And then I'll call this little portion of this project complete. Well, at least 95% complete. I still need to get it to the drive shaft shop to be balanced, but first I need to drive this thing. I think honestly that's going to be pretty much it for down under here. So I realized that there's potentially a lot of you that don't know what the little slip yoke dust cover is. So it's this little collar. It has a rubber seal inside of it, and it threads onto the female part of the slip yoke. And it's here. It does exactly what its name says. Its primary job is just to keep dust out of it. Sometimes they're a little tricky to get lined up because it's got really fine threads on it. But usually if you slowly twist it counterclockwise, you'll feel the first threads pop over, and then you're able to snug it down. These don't need to be super mega tight. As tight as you can get them with your hand is just fine. Once you get that snug down there, like I said, you just add fresh new grease. And this is good for the first test drive until I can get it to the drive shaft shop and get the whole assembly balanced. There we go, guys. Got the rear drive shaft in. I did want to add, this occurred to me after I tried to wrestle the drive shaft into the pinion yoke and it was seemingly too close together. Man, I've got probably 500 pounds of old brake rotors, a pair of old tires, a hood, a trailer hitch, a bunch of other heavy metal in the bed of the truck. So the suspension is lower. It's compressed more than it will be at normal driving ride height. I'll have to unload the bed and check, because what I don't want to happen is for that slip yoke to be bottomed out every time I hit a bump or something like that. So I will have to double check the length on my rear drive shaft, make sure that I'm not going to have an issue there when I'm driving. If I put some firewood in the back, is it going to smash that yoke into itself and bottom out? But other than that, I think this thing is going to be good to go. I've got a couple other things to wrap up on this truck, but I appreciate you tuning in, watching how I do this. If you have any suggestions, you know a better way, please let me know. I'm always looking to learn and improve. I have a strong base, but you know, there's always somebody that's better at something than you are, and I'm here to share what I know, hopefully help you, and hopefully learn a bit along the way. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe for more, and thanks a lot for watching. Have a great night. I can't wait to drive this thing, guys. We're getting closer and closer.